Hey folks, what's going on? Got another four-wheeler video here today. Got a little bit of work to do to it, not a whole lot. I've got a crack to repair. I'm going to try to bring this faded plastic back out a little bit. This four-wheeler is about to go up for sale. Tiff wants a new one, and got a guy looking for one like she wants right now. Of course, I did help her pick it out, but this was a 2016 model. It's 8 years old. Nothing wrong with it. It's just cosmetic stuff really I'm working on today. Trying to get it good and cleaned up, take some pretty pictures of it and get it advertised. Got to get a couple things off of it. My light bar, toolbox, my hitch, all that stuff is going back to stock. I'm keeping that stuff. So I'm gonna try to fix this crack in the plastic and brighten these fenders back up. And I've already been working on it a little bit because it has been giving me a little bit of a hard time. So you have to take that tail light off to unplug this plug. There's really no other way to do it. I mean, maybe, but you're gonna break the clip. All this harness here goes to the light bar on the front. I've got to get it out of here and get that toolbox off the front of it. And I got to take my hitch off the back. I designed that hitch and had it cut out at work. I extended it 6 inches because the factory hitch is just too short to pull a trailer with. You can barely turn the four-wheeler at all before the trailer tongue hits. So I'm going to do a little work on this today, and maybe this is helpful to somebody. Maybe it's entertaining. I don't know, but right now it's still too cold to fish. We're having a little warm spell right here, so I did wait until lunchtime so that it would be warm enough out here that the heater wouldn't be running the whole time. Like in the last video, but it's still a little too cold to fish. Another week or two here, we're probably gonna get on the river and do a little crappie fishing, get a couple spots ready to camp for this spring. But for right now, this is the kind of stuff we've got going on, and it has to be done. So let's do it. So there's a bolt here. I already have this one out. There's the crack. That's from a stick and that cut over this year. More damage from that, but I have to go underneath. I did set my light up right here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see or not. There's that one. So the next two are these two right here. Hopefully they're the same size. And they're not, they're bigger. This one. Right here. Ooh, tweak. Got her. It's crazy how on a concrete floor stuff disappeared. All right, I'm gonna find that bolt. I'll be right back. All right, you know, Red had us a little prayer meeting over this, and this is where I am so far. Everything came out pretty good. This fuse block right here, you actually have to get behind it to release that clip. And I was lucky not to break anything here. It is very difficult to get your hand back there to release that clip. Very difficult. And it's not holding on by much. As you can see, mostly it just sits in there. But everything's out, all the electrical's unplugged. I got the rack off. So now it's a matter of a few more clips and bolts here and there, I think, and I'll be ready to take this off. There's some push pins I've got to get off, but other than that, it's moving. We'll get to the actual repair part pretty soon, hopefully. And hopefully don't tear up anything else. Already got to fix the tail light. So. First things first, Mountain Dew. Ah, yeah, there we go. I think we're most of the way there. If you own one of these ATVs, these little push pins right here are all over it. So you need to keep a bag of these on hand. They're pretty ridiculous at about $1 a piece, but it uses them all over. So, like I said, we're going to sell this one. Nothing really at all wrong with it. It's just 8 years old, and I normally keep them 8 or 10 years and get rid of them. I'll use the money from this for down payment on the one Tiff wants. We only keep one. We use it mostly for deer hunting, and she rides it some. There's a place in North Carolina where you can camp on the beach in the Outer Banks. We're going there this September. That will be on a video as well, and you can ride them on the beach. And so she wanted a foot shifter, which they have, but I do not. I've gotten used to this DCT transmission, and I love it. Of course, there's an Allen bolt on each side, and that's it, the last 2 bolts. These are actually shoulder bolts, so you don't over tighten them and split your plastic. So this front plastic, section plastic rather, has to come off anyway for me to get my wiring out of here for my light bar. So it's coming off now. Since my switch isn't glued to it anymore, it's free to do that. Oh yeah, there we go, right there. Now I'm going to go wash this out with a water hose. Oh yeah, you see how red it is there. So my 4-wheeler sits on my trailer. We have a long deer season, and I start a couple weeks before bow season, putting up cameras and stuff. So my 4-wheeler sits on my trailer about 4 months out of the year, and this is what happens. There it is, right there. Must have fallen out when I moved it. I pulled the four-wheeler out, got the wiring unhooked. When I pushed it back in, this bolt must have fallen off of it. That's good, because I hate losing bolts. That's why I make sure to tote them over here one at a time. So I'm going to let that fender dry while I move on to other things. Still got to remove the hitch, get all the wiring off for the light bar, get the light bar off, toolbox, stuff like that. I'm going to do a little cleanup right here, and then see if I can fix these fenders and pretty them up a little bit. All right, I'm back. Got this whole thing kind of wiped down the way I want it. I'm going to spray it off one more time because there was a lot of dirt in that rear fender. But I've got everything out there drying. Now I'm going to push the four-wheeler out so I can bring that rear fender in here and see if I can fix that crack. We're going to learn together. All right, I got the fenders in here, or the rear fender rather. I got a 2x4 underneath that crack, so I can put pressure on it as I'm doing this hot staple deal. And I'm going to try to do this by myself. It would be a lot better if I had a little bit of help, but I might be able to at least manage this way and get it halfway decent. So I'm gonna set this camera down and go from there. So this is the kit I bought off of Amazon. It has some plastic welding rods and stuff like that in it. Those require a lot of work. It also has foil and some mesh. I'm not sure what the foil's for, but I'm sure it says it in the directions. But it also comes with a bunch of hot staples, pliers, things of that nature. Everything you need to do something like this. There's the gun. I had a rechargeable one, but it wouldn't charge. So it might have been rechargeable, but it wasn't chargeable. I think this is the one we want right here. I'm gonna plug her up. Start at the end of the crack because it's easier to line up at the end. Let me get some gloves on in case I drop this thing. Never done this before, but all right, there's one. Keep my eyes open for snakes in here, even this time of year. On one day like today, they will come right underneath the washout slots in the back. Like that video where me and Johnny were shot at on the boat. All right, so you can see it there. That's what it looks like on this side. And by starting at the very tip, I was able to kind of keep that crack pretty even on this side. I'm hoping it turned out even on the other side as well. I got plenty of them in there. There's 11 of them. I'm gonna flip it over, see what it looks like, and then I'll flip it back over and trim these off with the pliers they give you. Those little tabs just trim off flush. It isn't perfect, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. It's a lot better than it was. Especially since when you bolt it to this rack, it kind of wants to conform to the rack, and it was just opening that hole up. Hopefully that'll stop the crack from proliferating anyway, so whoever gets this doesn't have to buy a whole new rear fender. Again, this thing's looking at $540, and it probably doesn't come with any of this rubber hardware. So I'm gonna go get some safety glasses because I know if I don't, one of these things is gonna wind up in my eye, and I'll be right back. Did this with the boat seats last summer. I did not show a video of that, but it worked really well. They were almost white. All right, back on with the safety glasses. All right, so you can see where there's a sticker right here. It really just came off this year. So I'm gonna start around that and see what I can accomplish with it here. Flame out. Let some of that propane out. All right, I'm back. It's been a couple hours. Mikey rolled up, we were hanging out. I have given up on the torch, trying to bring that plastic back around. It does help a lot, but I'm having some issues with my torch. It helps a lot, but it's not gonna bring it back red. I'm not getting the same results on it that I did on the boat seats. Boat seats are probably ABS. These fenders are polypropylene. So when I did it on the boat seats, it turned them jet black like they were brand new. It is not having that effect on these fenders. It's getting them darker, but they're still sort of a dark pink instead of red. I had a reference because, of course, battery box and everything was factory color, but it just wasn't turning out. So I gave up on trying to fix the fenders and get them back to the factory color. But I did remove my hitch that I designed and put the factory hitch back on here. I've dropped the skid plates and cleaned everything out from underneath them. I'm just putting on the last skid plate now. I've got a couple of bolts that want to be difficult, and that's where I'm at. I've dropped both skid plates. I've had this thing jacked up in the air, and back on the back, you have to do the back one. You have to take the back one off first, then the front. Then when you put them back on, you have to take and you have to put the front one back on first and then put the back one on last because it covers the front one. So I'm having a little trouble getting it back up here, but I've been cleaning up stuff as I go. And man, this thing looks good. I've been using McGuire's on it. And I mean, it really does look good. I mean, it's freshened it up a lot. That stuff on there is still a little dusty, but I'm not gonna worry about that. But you can see this back end is, really, I've got my light on the floor because we're about to go under there and put a bolt in this thing. This is the bolt I'm looking for. I'm gonna try to start it by hand. This thing is really giving me a hard time. No, this one. So we get one in here. All right, so there's another bolt under here that goes under here, but I know I broke one off in here 2 or 3 years ago. What I do is put a zip tie on that, so if you're backing up, it doesn't rip it off. And that's worked fine for, at least 2 years. So I'm gonna grab a zip tie and get that tied up. All right, got that zip tied up where I don't have a bolt, so she's good to go. All right, I'm gonna let her down now. Done everything here, we just gotta put it back together. So I'm pretty well done cleaning everything. I did get the hitch off the back, put the stock hitch back on it. I still have to take the wiring for the light bar off, but I have to get that toolbox off first. And in order to do that, I have to unload everything out of it. Got the midsection plastic cleaned up too. So once everything goes back together, it'll be really clean. I've been cleaning as I go, also wheels, tires, everything. What I'm gonna do now is try and get that toolbox off of it. I'm gonna have to take everything out of it, but I'm going to try to do that right now and see if I can get the toolbox and the light off of it, then I can start putting everything back together. And it's gonna look good. It's pretty late right now. It's like almost 9 o'clock. It's 10 till 9, so I'm gonna give it my best college try, see what happens. Hairspray. Incandescent light, very important for blood filling. Throw away your LED light. See how blue that light is? Can't see blood with it. There's a hand camera that needs to go on my truck. Paracord. Bungee strap. Golf ball. More straps. Handsaw. Zip ties. Batteries. Wire ties. A headlamp. Oh, that works. Wow. Really bright, just LED. Other limb saw. I don't even know. Flashlight. Like batteries. Flag intake. Staples. Tape measure. More dead batteries. Dead batteries. Hey, guess what I found? More dead batteries. And I'm not entirely certain that this box is going back on the new four-wheeler. When I'm using it, I like having the storage. It solved a big problem for me that I'd had for a long time, but don't get me wrong about that, but man, it takes up this whole front rack, so. Oh, I know what that is. Keep that. That goes to the cell cam. There should be another one in here, but I don't see it. Alright, that's all the zip ties. Alright, I'm going to show you guys what I did here. So these are just U-bolts. I just bolted it straight to the rack. This is a Miller welding box. So where I used to work, we had dozens and dozens of these. They would just throw them in the dumpster. Everybody would take the new welder out and put it on their welding cart and just throw these boxes away. We didn't, those guys didn't need them for anything. So it's not the sturdiest thing in the world, but it's sturdy enough. This thing's been through a lot. It really does make a good storage for a four-wheeler. Again, my issue with it is that it takes up the entire front rack. And when I'm putting out sweet potatoes, as I do sometimes, I could put 3 or 4 more bags on the front of this four-wheeler on the front rack, and it would save me a couple of trips back and forth. It would go a lot faster when I'm out there doing it. And so I'm debating on whether or not to put this on the new four-wheeler. Tiff kind of likes it, but I don't know if it's going on there or not. I'm going to look at other options before I do this again. I'm looking at something that is going to pretty much take the form of the front rack and be about maybe 4 or 5 inches deep. And then I can still stack stuff on top of that. This totally eliminates the front rack from any kind of use for anything except for this. Now, like I said, it does solve a big problem for me as far as having things I need when I need them. You saw me drag a game camera out of here, all kinds of straps and zip ties and stuff like that that you just really don't have anywhere else on the bike to put them. So it does solve a big issue, and actually, believe it or not, the thing's rainproof. It's never gotten wet on the inside. As you can see, it's bone dry now, and everything that came out of there is bone dry, but man, it just takes up this whole front rack. I have to find something else. This served its purpose for a long time, and I'm not saying it won't go back on the new four-wheeler, but we need to rethink this before we just put it on the new one. But I am going to keep it. Right now, I don't have a solution. I have to do a little research. But I'm going to go ahead and get this off of here. Either way, I'm keeping it and keep moving with this deal, because got a little bit of work to do in the back end here too. So by the way, these U-bolts are really long, but that was what they had when I went to get them. Alright, that's the first time the box has been off of there in like 4 years since I put it up there. do need to get my light off. And I don't remember if Owen and I took these plastics off or not. Let's see what we got here. And she's spinning. All right, I don't know how much you guys saw, but getting this light bracket off was just a matter of unscrewing these 2 bolts and putting them back on. The rack's already good to go here. What I'm going to do now is pull all this wiring back through here. When I bought this ATV in 2016, that was 8 years ago. Owen was 11, and he actually wired this, put the zip ties on it, and made it neat and everything, hooked it up to the battery. I mean, I was here with him. I helped him pull the plastic off, but once I got all the plastic off, he just went to town with it. It was pretty simple. I'm keeping it, and I have to go down here and bust all his zip ties and pull it back out through that crack. Come on. Come on, baby. I think I'm gonna have to unplug it anyway. So, this wire is for the switch, and we now have it separate from the rest of it here. I'm just gonna plug it back in. Oh, there's a plug. All right. Wow. Boy, am I so glad to see you. And see that plug right there. That is going to make this so much easier. All right. So I'm going to get that plug out and I'll get back with you guys. Oh, just unplugs. Here we go. There we go. Now this switch right here is getting replaced. I hate this thing, and it has lights on it. It drains the battery. In fact, right now it won't even switch on and off. So it has a green light for when the light is on, but it also has a red light for when the light is off. So if you don't leave your bike on a battery tender all summer long and you don't ride it for 2 months, that little tiny red light right there kills your battery. I'm gonna spiffy up the front of this thing with some more wires. I've gotta get some more of this because I have another vehicle to detail out there. I gave you guys a sneak peek of it, but it needs a detail. We've already done a little bit to it, but it needs a shine. With this Meguiar's interior detailer, it works really good if you let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes. Let it get really thick and then wipe it off. Just let it soak in. If you start wiping it off right away, it doesn't seem to have quite the same effect. So, all right. Wow, I cannot believe how good that stuff makes it look. I mean, it's not really shiny. It just looks clean. I mean, it's got a little sheen to it, but it really does just look clean. think we need a back end. I think we have one right here. Is there a hole there? Going right here. Get that right there. Things gonna look real good. Need a pin right there. And another on the other side. What I'm gonna do now is put all this wiring back in here. As you can tell, it is a lot cleaner. I think I've got this the way it goes, yeah. So I'm gonna put all the wiring back in here, and then we can get the rack back on. I do have a couple of fasteners here I need to put in. Everything else though is kind of coming together. It's late. It's like 10 o'clock, but you can probably tell by the way I look, I am tired, but I'm going to keep going on this thing, get it listed. We need to go ahead and get this taken care of so we can move on to Frankenstand. I still have to go get the steel for it. I was about to do that. Plus the other project sitting in the yard needs a steering box, and I've got to get that done. Have not even ordered that yet, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of this, and then we'll move on to other things that need doing. Not in the least the yearly maintenance on the boat so we can go fishing. So I'm tired, but I'm going to keep plugging away at it. All right, I'm going to kind of put all this stuff back where it goes. The battery, I'm going to have to clean it up. Battery tray is in terrible shape, so I'm going to I'll probably do the battery first. I mean, it's not in terrible shape except for the fact that it is just plumb nasty. So I'm going to clean up this battery and stick it back in there before I hook all that other stuff up. Battery's good, it's just really nasty. So I'm not sure why they do this, but there is a rubber battery tray. There we go. He's off. Wash that separately. As far as the battery, I'm just going to wipe it down. All right, that's dry. It has to, oh, that's dry. Take two. All right, that's clean. It has to dry for a few minutes. I'm gonna kind of dry it off and help it along, but all right, it's the next day. You can tell that because I'm wearing a clean shirt. It was pretty late last night, really late. So I slept in a little bit, but it's time to get started back on this thing. All right. Yeah, sorry, over top. All right, so I'm gonna go put this bolt in. Really nowhere to stick the camera on this side, so. And I have a feeling it's gonna give me a very hard time. All right, so the rack's on. Looks pretty good. I'm also gonna pick up some more of that McGuire's, man. That stuff really does a number. So it's thicker than Armor All, and if you let it sit, it kind of soaks into stuff. Man, it really makes a big difference. We're gonna move on to finishing up the fenders. All right, buttons. I have a box of them over here. I don't know if I have many new ones or not. Yes. A few new ones in here. So I'm going to use them because some of the older ones are still good, but they're sun faded. There we go. That bolt will go back in there. Running boards are all buttoned up. So now for the back end of this thing. All right, I'm back. Got the tail light back on. Those stupid little clips that hold that wire right there gave me a fit. So I'm gonna go back to stay on task here and get the rest of it together. Now they try to make them look like a car. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna wipe this down with some McGuire's as well. I'm gonna let that tack up for a few minutes while I enjoy a Mountain Dew before I put on the very last piece. I am gonna check, make sure she's good to go. While that's doing that, before I get my Victory Mountain Dew. Looks like we used all the nuts and bolts. Alright, let's do this with a clean one. Looks pretty sharp. Never mind the mud I missed. A lot of work cleaning that thing up, but Buddy Row, it does look good. Wow. I'm going to take a few pictures, and that's going to wrap it up. I've really enjoyed this thing. It's a super dependable machine, but Tiff says it's time for a new one, so she wants a new one, so she's getting a new one. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Thanks for watching.